It is now 6:30 p.m. I would like to call the Design Review Board meeting of October 5th, 2023 to order. Before I proceed, I would like to take a moment to go over our meeting protocols for today. The South Pasadena Design Review Board meeting will be conducted in person. To maximize public safety while still maintaining transparency and public access, members of the public can observe the meeting via Zoom. Will staff please take roll?
Board Member Carlson,
Present.
Board Member Hill,
Present.
Board Member Younger, not here yet, Vice Chair Sai,
Here.
Chair Nichols, excused absence. You have quorum.
Next, we move on to the approval of the agenda. Board members, do you have a request for additions, revisions to the agenda? If so, please raise your hand.
No.
No.
Seeing no requests, I would like a vote of the board to proceed with approval of the agenda as submitted. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Next is the disclosure by board members of site visits and contact for items on today's agenda. Board member Carlson,
No, I haven't.
board member Hill,
No.
and myself, no. Next is public comment for general items that are not on the agenda. Has staff received any public comment in person or via Zoom?
We have not received any public comments in chambers. People on Zoom, please click the hand icon to make a public comment on items not on the agenda. And we do not have public comments via Zoom.
Okay, so, so next is the approval of the action minutes as submitted. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay.
Are those in regards to the consent calendar items?
Oh, yes.
The minutes? Yeah, I review those and everything looks good to me.
Board member Carlson?
Yes.
Okay, so all those in favor say aye.
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 Yes.
So we'll move on to the next item, number 6. Staff, do we have a presentation?
Yes, we do.
Good evening, board members and council member Braun. This next project on the agenda is item number 6 at 1033 Park Avenue, project number 2416 DRX AUP. The subject site is an irregular shaped lot bounded by Brent Avenue to the west, Mission Street to the north, and Oxley Street to the south. The property is highlighted in blue. The project proposal includes a 63 square foot first story addition, a 619 square foot second story addition, and a request for an administrative use permit for tandem parking. The project qualifies for an administrative use permit due to it being under 10,000 square feet, and it is unfeasible to provide a standard size garage. Moving on to the site details. The zone for the property is residential medium density. The lot size is 3,754 square feet. The house size is 916 square feet. And the garage size is 333 square feet. The structure was originally built in 1961, and it is a minimal traditional architectural style. Next are the site plans. To the left is the existing site plan, and to the right is the proposed. This next slide is if the existing property has 2 bedrooms and 1.5 bathrooms. The first floor will be reconfigured to accommodate 1 bedroom at the living room, and the living room will be expanded. The second bedroom will be eliminated to include the stairway. In the proposed image, you can see the hatch where the 63 square foot addition will be located on the first floor. The second floor plan will include 2 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. This next slide is of the existing and proposed roof plan. The second story, which is depicted in yellow, is set back 5 feet from the wall plane at the northern portion of the addition and set back 7 feet 5 inches at the southern portion of the addition. The second story is also set back 3 feet from the sides to reduce mass and bulk. These are the front elevations, or the east elevation. The applicant is proposing to maintain the minimal traditional architectural style of the original home. This is the side elevation, where you can see the articulation of the second story addition. Next is the other side, the north side elevation. And finally, we have the rear elevation. The proposed materials are to match the existing, which includes stucco cladding and asphalt composition shingle roofing. Moving on to the neighborhood context. The property has a red arrow pointing to it. The project site is surrounded by 1- and 2-story single and multi-family residential dwellings, which are comparable in size to that of the immediate neighborhood. As such, staff recommends that the Design Review Board find the project exempt under CEQA guidelines, section 15301, class 1, existing facilities, which is additions to existing structures that would not result in an increase of more than 10,000 square feet. And 2, approve project number 2416 DRX AUP, subject to conditions of approval. Staff is available to answer your questions. The applicant representative is also here to answer any questions.
Does anyone have any questions for staff?
I don't.
I don't either.
I actually have a question. On the floor plan, it looks like there's only addition to the north east corner. That's the only addition on the first floor?
That's correct. So
Okay.
going back to the slide here, the proposed has the diagonal hatch where the addition is located.
Because on the
front.
elevations, yeah, on the front elevation, the east elevation, it looks slightly different on the south side. If you go to like the comparison, it's just more like a clarification, not really a question, but if you go to the elevations of the slide with the elevations, yeah. So it just looks like the windows moved, on the window on the left. So it looked like there was an addition there. Do you see where
The
the window on the left? It's like, it looks like it's centered now on the
Oh,
wall.
okay.
So it looked like there was an addition.
I see what you mean. Did you-
Or should I ask the applicant that?
Yes.
I was just wondering if there was another addition somewhere else.
No, that's the only addition
Addition.
that is called out.
Okay. Okay. That was more like a clarification.
Okay.
Okay. That's my only question. I just wanted to see where all the additions were. Does the applicant have a presentation?
No, she does not.
Does anyone have any questions for the applicant?
I do not.
No.
No. I guess I could, my earlier question is
Sure.
carried on to the applicant to, I, so my question is, it's just in the elevation, it looks, the front door is not moving, correct? The front door looks like it's staying where it is.
My name is Janice Soon. I'm the architect and also representing the owner. No, the hatch area is what we're showing as the addition.
Okay.
Here's the pointer. Maybe I can just explain. We have actually the portion that extends out. It's not the full window in the existing. We have kind of narrow we have maintained a wider porch area that we created by extending the living room out, but the window have shifted. Because if you look at the existing, the four windows is more center
Mhm.
and closer to the doorway, but the new windows in the proposed, they have moved kind of to the right of the elevation, so it's shifted a little bit. So that the portion that projects beyond the existing wall is actually a bit more narrow than what's existing, so that we can have a wider landing at the entrance.
I understand, but I'm talking about the other side, the left side. If you look at the portion on the left side, the existing looks more narrow than the proposed on the left side.
I will double check, but there is no change.
Okay, it's just maybe a graphic.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Um,
will clarify that.
Okay,
But there is no change in
Okay.
that corner of the building at all.
so, okay. I guess it's just maybe just a graphic error in that. Okay, I just wanted to clarify. And you mentioned widening the porch. So why did you decide to keep the front door to the left and not center in the porch that you made wider?
Due to what's on the interior, that when you're opening the door, that so the person who's visiting will have more room to the opening side of the door.
Okay,
Because if you center it, then it's closer to the wall that's extending out. But if it's a little bit farther away, then the person who's approaching the entrance to the house would feel a little bit more roomy to stand and wait for someone to open the door.
see. I feel like you would have more room if you moved the door up more north, because then you have more open space in the living room.
Well, because also that if we center it, if that's what proposed, we could possibly move the door.
It just looks a little unbalanced because you did widen the porch.
Yeah,
I-
because I did the previous remodel for this home as well. And there were a large beam going across so that we can create that open kitchen. There used to be a bunch of walls where the open kitchen is. So if we move the door opening, the post has to be relocated and that beam has to be
So it's a structural.
there's
reason
some
for- okay.
structural reconsideration that needs to be
Okay.
done to make that happen.
I understand. Okay, I got it. Okay, that makes sense. And then also the light fixture that's shown on the porch, it looks like a motion sensor light. Is that really what you're gonna put on the,
That's
the front?
what is there right
I would recommend putting something different. Um, it's the front porch. I mean, the clients are spending a lot of money renovating it, but I don't see why they wouldn't just change out an existing fixture. Um,
We can definitely look into changing a
Yeah.
more pleasant fixture instead of your standard two head type of a motion sensor.
Okay.
Now there are a lot of motion sensor front door fixture that are very nice, and we can definitely replace one.
Okay. Those are all my questions. That's it. And I will now open public hearing. Staff, are there any public comments for this item?
We have not received any requests for public comments in chambers. Attendees participating on Zoom, please click the hand icon to make a public comment on item number 6. And we do not have any comments via Zoom.
We will now close the public comments and have discussion amongst the board. Would someone like to begin the discussion?
There was a letter included in the package from one of the neighbors, the comment. Did you see
Oh,
that?
No, I didn't.
I didn't see that
I
either.
didn't see it either.
Did I
There was a
miss it?
letter in support of the project.
Oh, okay.
Not sure what page it's on. Attachment number 3.
Oh.
Hmm.
Mm,
Attachment 2.
yeah, I don't
I can just
see-
read it if you.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be
you
great.
Could read it.
It
I
says,
don't
hi
have-
there, we live at 1728 Oxley and want to leave a comment that we absolutely support the additional square footage being added to 1033 Park. Thanks, Nat and Marilyn Bolt.
Okay. Super. Thank you.
Oh, here.
Yeah.
I see it now.
Oh, okay. Is it?
Yeah.
It's hidden. Okay.
Well, it's great. That's always good that neighbors are in
Yeah.
support of projects.
Mhm.
I guess I can
You can
dive in here. Overall, I think it makes sense. The
Mhm.
style, it seems to be, keeping
Yeah.
consistent with the existing, and massing wise, it seems to be proportional. I noticed that some of the other contexts, there were 2-story houses, there's lots of trees. I noticed that there were power pole lines near the house. So I think the height too,
Mhm.
it will fit in well within the context. One thing I did or I noticed is the fence materials. Like, it's interesting to me that I'm looking specifically at sheet A 3.1, and it's the exterior east elevation. And I noticed that there's, to the left hand side, there's masonry and wood fence, but then to the right hand side, there's just wood. And so I'm kind of just, to me, it's a little the inconsistency of the materials and why they're not continuing, whether it's just all wood or you've got the wood and the masonry base. That was just one thing that popped out to me. And that's more of obviously the landscape and the overall context, not the house itself, but
But that's existing. They're not putting up new fencing.
sorry, I should have asked that to the applicant. So there's no new fencing, that's all existing. Okay. Even where the addition, yeah, I guess it does say it's existing. Even where the addition is. Let's see.
Yeah, I agree with everything that you've said. And the tandem parking makes so much sense because the lot is so small.
Yeah,
So
agreed.
that's a very reasonable request.
Yeah.
The overall, I think it's a very sensible addition. The
mhm.
only part that really bothers me is the front door and porch area.
Mhm.
I do like how they raised the first floor roof line up. I think that creates like a stronger base, for
Yeah.
the second floor. I think if you kept it low like that, it would not look as balanced. But because of that, now it creates like a very tall space in the porch that feels a little bit disproportional because the door is not centered and for structural reasons, it has to stay where it is. But I don't know what needs to happen, but I just feel like maybe it's like a hanging pendant. Like, I don't know. I just feel like that space looks a little awkward to me. And I really don't agree that a motion sensor light belongs next to a front door.
I mean, I know that that's also existing, but I agree that that's the motion sensor light. The fixture should be reconsidered. I understand for security and safety wanting motion sensor, but that specific style is probably not the best choice.
Right.
But to your point about the front door, it's funny because I almost want the addition to be bigger, where they bring where it jogs, bringing the portion of where the door is now closer to the street. So it is in line with that window. So you've only got one jog in the house instead of you've got this jog and then it jogs into the front door and then it jogs back out. So I almost think just having 2 planes as opposed to having 3 different planes would be a cleaner look. I don't know how that affects things structurally and overall. And, with the steps and everything,
Right.
it looks like you're not trying to
And
touch
then
that, but I think that would be a
they'll
better.
have a lot more space in the interior for the foyer,
Yeah.
right? And that,
Yeah. I mean, that's what I'd like to see. I mean, I understand that it could be more complicated than that to make that change. And I don't know if I'm describing it well, but essentially, do you
yeah.
understand what I'm saying?
But from
though?
what she's mentioned, there's a post right there.
Yeah,
So like, even if they extended it,
that's what if it's a
It's gonna be-
structural
yeah.
issue, then there's not much you can do. So then in that case, I'd say, yeah, I mean,
But-
centering the door into that alcove might be a better move.
but it's a second floor addition. They're gonna rebuild most of the structural on the first floor.
Yeah, see, that's the thing,
So-
even though we're showing existing on stuff,
Yeah,
the reality is all this
it's
stuff
all
gets
gonna be
touched.
rebuilt. Yeah.
So then you're like, well, once you're touching it, then you're gonna,
Yeah.
once it's under construction, then you're gonna end up making
Right.
changes, so.
It's all gonna be rebuilt. Like,
Yeah.
so it's either gonna be reinforced or like sheared or something. So, yeah.
I mean, I do agree that the front door in the proposed location, I know that's existing. It just doesn't look, it looks unbalanced with the new massing.
Mhm. Right.
Because it's very it almost makes even though from a purely an elevation standpoint, when you're looking at it straight on, it's almost symmetrical, right? The 2 sides, and then you've got this alcove for where the door is, but the door is not symmetrical within the space, so it looks unbalanced. A 3D, maybe in 3D it would. The only thing I think is if I saw like a perspective of it, may have a different look, but just looking at it in elevation, it does look.
Or like doing some other detail at the porch, like bringing
Yeah.
a more like
Yes.
gable or something right there
Mhm.
to like frame it.
Accentuate that. Yeah.
Mhm. It's like the straight line that just comes across right over the first floor that really like, I just feel like it's incomplete.
Yeah. I'm trying to see if there's. So I almost wonder, like I said, like a perspective or something to show it might help. Let me think. That's the. Because you've got, I mean, because this is what we're looking at here, right? So if we're looking at the south elevation, if you look in the south elevation, I don't know if we can bring that up. If that's possible. It's sheet A3.1.
I mean, all the walls will be rebuilt because the ceiling is getting raised. The roof is
Yeah.
being raised. So really the first floor is getting rebuilt. So structurally, the post won't really matter because you're raising the entire ceiling of the first floor, right? So that post can go away, right? So you can relocate the front door
Yeah.
technically.
I mean, it would add a little bit of square footage, but I know they're not over in the count here. I was quickly looking at it.
Yeah, they're not maxed.
They're not maxed out, so
I don't think so either.
I don't know how much that square footage is, but it's probably, there's no way it's over 50
No,
square feet.
They are not
Not,
maxed,
right?
but with in regards to the front porch, and having the two wall planes like it is.
It's already
currently,
counted.
Right, so what happens is because it is a non-conforming lot, it has to have a porch area in order to qualify
Right.
for a 15-foot setback, front setback.
How far setback do they have to have the porch? Is there a minimum requirement?
For it, the code doesn't specify, it just has to be a porch area.
Because essentially, the reason why I was asking for the south elevation is what you're seeing there to the right-hand side, where you've got the stairs at the ground floor there and the railing, that's your entry into the house. So that's what we're talking about. And that line, that exterior line there that we're seeing that was representing the wall, I'm saying extend that all the way back to the addition. So instead of it going there and then jogging in, so essentially it would be the same. You'd still have a patio, you'd still have the front steps. It would just, the door would be in plane with that wall extension. I don't know if that makes sense.
It does. And so then are you saying that there would still be a front porch?
It would be a smaller front porch, but there would still be a front porch
Right.
there.
And then that roof line on the north side on the first floor can extend further to the south,
Yeah.
right? If you look at the roof plan, because there's over the addition, there's like a roof right there. Yeah, on the right-hand side, that little jog in the front over the addition, if we pull that south corner of that addition down over the stairs,
Yeah.
then that will create a porch, more of a porch.
It,
I think.
it'll have that. Yeah. It'll have an effect
porch,
that looks
yeah.
more like a, that's the thing. The existing, when you look at the existing east elevation, so the entry, it works because it's not symmetrical, it's asymmetrical. And so you've got your door tucked in to where there is that, where the front facade jogs. And so it feels balanced. But with the new addition, now you've kind of got this symmetry, and then you're tucking in a door onto the side and it's pushed back and it doesn't feel like an entry. So I do think it needs to be kind of revisited, and whether the recommendations we're making are the preference, or to just kind of look at it and say, how else can we address the entry here? Obviously we want to make sure we're complying and that we've got the patio area and everything is, and we're not going over the square footage allowed, but I do think it needs to be addressed in some way.
So, okay. Board Member Carlson, do you have any comments?
Sorry. I kind of understand what you're saying, but I don't feel as strongly as you guys
Okay.
do about it.
Okay. I mean, for me, really, it's just the porch element that's, I feel like needs a little more work. I would be comfortable approving the project with a chair review, with looking at what, some changes for the porch and the lighting and everything. But I noticed there's no lighting on the sides, but really it's the porch is where you could first
It's the entry.
I feel a little more, when I first looked at it, the off-center front door stood out. I feel possibly more strongly about that than extending the roof line to just make it 2 planes. The 3 planes don't bother me.
Okay.
Alcove
Yeah.
for the, but again, I don't have strong feelings about it.
Yeah, the 3 planes don't bother me. I think it just needs, I feel like there, I don't know what it is that
And
the porch needs,
But
but
to your comment that you're saying if because of the second story, that structural post in the house, it wouldn't be an issue to move the
It-
front door?
it shouldn't anymore because they're raising the entire ceiling of the first floor. So they're gonna have to,
Rebuild.
reframe the whole house, basically. So like,
Yeah.
let's say they're using like 8-foot studs, they have to build, in order to raise the ceiling, you have to build that wall up,
Beef everything up.
yeah, or you have to,
Because they're gonna make it taller.
yeah,
So they may sister them where they take existing and they put another one and they sandwich like 2 on either side of them. I don't know how they're gonna do it,
yeah.
but
We don't-
it's definitely changing because
Right.
they're raising the roof.
They're
So-
basically gonna have to reframe the entire first floor exterior wall, to raise that roof line.
And I think a suggestion to center that front door seems reasonable.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's what I would say at a minimum too, centering the front door.
Right.
And then, I'll be honest, before you even pointed this out, Melissa, I noticed the front door. I was like, yeah, that's off. But like the entryway, I also didn't feel super strongly about it. And then when you point out, I was like, yeah, the more I look at it, the more it feels unbalanced. It doesn't feel quite right. But again, sometimes it's drawings too, like a perspective very easily could solve that where we look at it and say, oh, it's not so, it doesn't look so off. But I think just the way that graphically, the way it's illustrated, it doesn't feel like an entry.
Right.
It feels like it's like kind of tucked. It feels like a back door. Like
Right.
this looks like the back of the house to me. And so that's why then when you pointed that out, I was like, oh yeah, it does look like the back of a house. It doesn't look like the front. So
There's like too much negative space
Yes,
above the door.
negative
Something
space.
like that.
Yeah. So something to highlight that that's the entry to the
Mhm.
house that when you're arriving, that that's the front door, that it's not tucked back in, whether it's with the roof line, whether it's extending that wall, it's something that just makes it more of an entry. I'm comfortable though with the idea of maybe working on it as a chair and then come back as a chair review.
Yeah.
That would work for me.
I know, Chair Nichols is not here, but I'm fine doing the chair review since I'm here and have history with the project too. So does anyone want to, are you ready to make?
I
a
can
motion?
make the motion. I move to approve the project with a chair review for looking at the location of the front door and centering it within the entryway and also studying the entryway itself, specifically considering the alcove and the plane of the front entry door, as well as the roof line and the roof design. That's the motion.
I can second that.
Will staff please take a roll call?
Board Member Carlson,
Yes.
Board Member Hill,
Yes.
Vice Chair Sai,
Yes.
motion carries.
Um, do I say the script for the congratulations, this project has been approved, subject to the conditions of approval. This decision is final unless an appeal is filed within 15 days from today. No construction activity may commence during this period. Appeal forms may be obtained from the city clerk's office. Thank you, and this closes the public hearing for agenda item number 6. Okay. So now we move on to comments from city council liaison.
As always, thank you so much for your fine work and time. And I think you know that the city council recently approved the new general plan and downtown specific plan and some zoning ordinances. So that is coming our way. So thank you.
Thank you, city councilor. We now move on to comments from our design review board members. Are there any comments from the board?
No.
I do have a question regarding our last special meeting. We formed an ad hoc committee and it was made up of Melissa and myself. And I know it was in regards to the objective design review standards. And is there anything we need to do? And I'm assuming we're waiting for AECom to finish that I think they were going to make some revisions and then send it to us, and then we would get together and discuss it. But I'm just not sure on the timing.
Thank you, Board Member Hill. Matt Cheng, Planning Manager here. Staff recall, I know definitely there were two ad hoc committee created, one for Planning Commission, one for Design Review Board. My recollection was, I think both ad hoc committee will provide some type of comment to the AECon team.
Okay.
That's my recollection. 'Cause I know there are definitely conductive, very constructive comments going back and forth between the two commissions boards. And I think AECon consultant would like to get more like written comment, graphic comment
Okay.
from both Planning Commission and also Design Review Board, so they can incorporate all the comments and bring it back as like another draft to both
Okay.
bodies for review, or it could be a separate meeting, of course. But I think they're looking for
Okay, so the ball's in our court, it sounds like, to do the comments. I know that during the meeting, there were some slight variations between what was presented and what we had reviewed, what we were given in our agenda packets. And Susanna, she had mentioned that she had an update and they were minor changes. So should we just comment on what we currently have, or?
yes.
Okay.
I think I recall that those comments are pretty minor. I
Yeah.
think just go with the packet that we provided last
Okay.
time. I think that's substantially kind of the same to kind of provide the comment, because the goal is, I think we'd like to get your comments and work on another draft, and we still have, I guess there's still be couple iterations before final. So you will get another opportunity to review another draft. So
Okay, so then we'll get together
so
and
we
then
have-
we'll, okay, that sounds good. Thank you for clarifying. Appreciate it. And that's my only comment.
Okay, and I don't have any comments. So now we move on to comments from our subcommittees. Are there any subcommittees? No, I don't think we have any,
No.
right? And then thank you, board members. We are now moving on to comments from staff.
thank you, board members. So I thank you, Councilmember Brown already talked about general plan, downtown specific plan update. I don't need to mention that again. And then we're just talking about the objective development standards. So I don't need to mention that. So I think another update staff planning to have is in the next couple of months, as many of you already heard, the Vaughn Supermarket is going to a facade remodel. So our project planner, Sandra Robles, is planning to bring that item in the Vaughn's facade remodel, the signage proposal to this body in the next couple of months. So expecting staff kind of present that item to you either in November or December. So we're working very closely with the property owner and their architectural team. We're hoping to bring that project in front of you for your consideration.
Great.
Thank you. Okay, I guess that's the last item on our agenda. So it is 7:09, and I'd like to adjourn to the regular design board meeting scheduled for Thursday, November 2nd, 2023 at 6:30 p.m.